Hello? Camera on? Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Rizky Firdaus. So now we'll be talk about the relationship between oil prices and the real estate market. So in this presentation, I will explain how changes in oil prices can influence construction costs, property prices, and the overall in real estate market. Sorry. Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum. My name is Akib Muhammad Mirdin. Come to my part, which is the main content of our segment. First of all prices have a direct impact on the construction of a building. So, when oil prices increase, the cost of transporting the materials of a buildings also increase, which cause a delay in the construction. Second of all, as the construction costs rise, developer may increase the selling of a property, reducing the movement of a property sales and transaction. Secondly, oil prices affect the economy. Well, what happened? If oil price is increased, the inflation will happen, which cause a negativity in our economy in Malaysia. On the other hand, when oil prices decrease, construction and transportation costs becomes low. This shows that oil and property do affect and have a really big impact to our economy and society. Now, let's investigate for our study case. So, we focus on the single-story terrace house in Bandar University. So, in Bandar University, there are 12,000 population in Bandar University Sri Iskandar, and we managed to collect the data 121 samples.
Okay, hi. Okay, now I will explain to you about our sampling technique for our study. So the sampling technique that we use is stratified sampling. So what is stratified sampling? Stratified sampling is the sampling technique where the population is divided into smaller group, which is called as strata. Based on the similar characteristic, a random sample is then selected from each group that every group is fairly represented in the study. First, we identified all the houses in the study area and excluded any houses that are not single-story terrace house. After that, we divided the remaining houses into a different group based on the street locations, with each street representing one stratum. Then, we randomly selected 2 houses from each street as our sample for our data collection. We choose the sampling technique because it ensures that every street is represented, making the data more accurate and reducing the bias.
For our group assignment, we use a direct questionnaire to collect our data. So what is direct questionnaire? Direct questionnaire is a set of questions that are given directly to the respondents to give their opinions, information, and also feedbacks about our case study. What is our case study? Our case study is about the impact of petrol prices on property prices in Malaysia. For this research, we visited our selected study area, which is a single-story terrace house located in Bandar University. We approached the residents, explained the purpose of our survey, and asked them to complete our questionnaire. This helped us to collect responses from people of different ages and genders. Besides face-to-face survey, we also shared the questionnaire through WhatsApp platform. This allowed us to reach more respondents in a short time. By using both face-to-face and online questionnaires, we were able to collect more responses. In total, we successfully collected data from 121 respondents, and the information was used for our analysis and discussion for this research.
Hey. Hey. Teach me how to do it. Hey. Baby like smooth. What? Can you teach me how to Dougie? You know why? Cause all the bitches love me.
Assalamualaikum semua. Bersama saya Akil bin Muhammad Mirdin dan saya Rizky Firdaus bin Rosli. Jadi hari ini kami akan melakukan pengumpulan data di Bandar U. Jadi topik pada hari ini adalah berkaitan minyak dan juga harga properti. Jadi apa yang anda tunggu lagi? Kita akan saksikan scene seterusnya. Okey, saya bersama dengan Tuan Muhammad Luqman. So saya akan tanya beberapa soalan. Okey, untuk daily lah, biasa Tuan guna kenderaan apa Tuan?
Biasa saya guna motor untuk pergi kelas.
Alright. Okey, so pandangan Tuan lah untuk harga minyak sekarang kan?
Pandangan saya lah untuk minyak sekarang, saya berterima kasih lah kepada Budi kerana mengurangkan beban saya. Sebagai student ni, bila dia kata nak ke mana-mana mesti perlukan kenderaan punya. Jadi minyak memang salah satu isu. Jadi disebabkan Budi, saya dapat kurangkan kos untuk survive diri saya sendiri di sini.
Okey, Tuan, dengan kereta yang Tuan ada sekarang kan, Tuan rasa harga minyak sekarang dengan subsidi yang disediakan berpatutan pun ataupun tidak?
Rasanya buat masa ni berpatutan lah kalau kita bandingkan dengan kita punya penggunaan kualiti minyak dengan negara-negara sekeliling kita. Rasanya Malaysia antara yang paling murah dan berpatutan lah. Tambah pula sekarang kita ada subsidi yang kerajaan bagi 200 liter. Bergantung kepada kita lah untuk merancang perjalanan. Sebenarnya bagusnya juga dia menggalakkan aktiviti berkongsi kenderaan.
Maksudnya Tuan berfikiran positif lah tentang harga minyak naik?
Ya, kita buat masa ni saya fikir yang positif sebab rasanya kerajaan dah buat yang termampu. Sebab saya memandang negara-negara sekeliling seperti Filipina yang sampai banyak stesen minyak tutup. Thailand. Rasanya kita ni antara yang bernasib baik lah.
Okay, Puan, boleh saya tahu Puan bekerja sebagai apa?
Saya bekerja sebagai seorang guru di sebuah sekolah rendah nearby di SK Skandar Perdana.
Okay, jadi kalau Puan pindah ke sekolah yang lebih jauh, adakah Puan rasa harga minyak ni efek kepada pembelanjaan Puan? Puan.
Mestilah. Sebab jarak pun dah berbeza. Jadi pembelanjaan pun tentulah berbeza. Sebelum ini jika jarak lebih 5 km, dia akan mengganggu sedikit perbelanjaan kita lah, perbelanjaan harian. Contohnya macam sekarang RM50 boleh tahan seminggu 2 minggu. Sekarang kalau jarak lebih jauh, tentulah efek perbelanjaan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya bersama Tuan
Anik Sakuan bin Hazan.
Tuan Anik, saya ada soalan. Tuan prefer pam minyak kat mana? Petronas ke, Shell ke?
Biasanya saya isi minyak dekat Petronas, dekat Bandayu sana ni. Tu isi minyak kan. Biasanya saya isi minyak kalau time dah bawa dia punya garisan dia.
Tuan biasa bawa apa kenderaan? Motor ke kereta ke?
Biasanya saya bawa kenderaan motosikal.
Saya nak tanya Tuan punya kepuasan terhadap subsidi yang diberikan kerajaan.
Saya buat masa sekarang ni agak puas selagi subsidi tak ditarik dan tidak dikurangkan lagi. Sebelum ni 300 liter sebenarnya yang diberikan subsidi, tapi sekarang ni dah dikurangkan jadi 200. Tapi untuk saya pengguna motor, saya still berpuas hati sebab subsidi tu memang cukup untuk sebulan.
Okey, apa pandangan Tuan tentang harga minyak untuk sekarang ni?
Pada pandangan saya, sebagai golongan ramah lain, memang harga tu agak membebankan lah untuk rakyat biasa. Tapi sebenarnya itu sebagai satu tanda arah yang subjektif lah. Memang kebanyakannya merasakan terbeban, tapi ada juga golongan mengatakan itu biasa dan membandingkan tempat-tempat lain.
Ya, Tuan Nabil, apakah jenis kenderaan yang Tuan selalu guna untuk kehidupan seharian?
Saya naik motor je.
Okay, dalam kegerapan selalu Tuan isi minyak, selalu guna berapa ringgit?
Untuk full tank saya isi dalam RM7.
RM7. Okay, dalam ikut keadaan semasa dengan subsidi yang kerajaan bagi, adakah Tuan berpuas hati?
Untuk saya pelajar, saya berpuas hati lah sebab subsidi tu tak pernah habis pun dalam sebulan.
Okay, so now we move to the section A, which is in our questionnaire mentioning about the data of the respondent in Bandar University. Based off the analysis of 121 respondents, the majority of the respondents were male, accounting of 59.9%, while 40.5% were female. In terms of age, the largest group of the respondents was above 50 years old, representing 38.8% of the total sample. This followed by the respondent aged 21 to 30 years old at 23.1% and below 20 years old at 20.7%. For the race, the respondents were predominantly Malay, making up 99.2% of the sample, with the only very small number of the respondents from the other races. Lastly, regarding to the martial status, 60.83% of the respondents were single, whilst 39.17% were married. There was no divorce respondent in this study.
Based on our survey with 121 respondents, most of the respondents have a bachelor's degree. The second highest is diploma and followed by SPM. This shows that most of the respondents have a good education background. For monthly income, most of the respondents earn below 4,850 ringgit. Some of the respondents have no income because they are students or housewives. Only a few respondents earn a higher income. Next, most respondents own a vehicle. This means many people use their own transport for daily activities. Last but not least, most respondents use petrol often, either every day or a few times a week. This shows that many people depend on petrol for traveling to work, school, and other places.
So hi guys, so we move to the next part, which is section B. In this section B, we asked for the community of the frequency of refilling per month. As you can see the evidence there are two types of evidence that local community use, which is they indicate two distinct groups of consumer: those with very minimal commuting needs and heavy road user who require constant refilling throughout the month. So next question we ask to the local community is the type of fuel that they are most using in their daily life. As you can see at the evidence, 99.2% of our respondents, which is 120 out of 121 people, choose RON 95 as their main fuel. This extreme preference highlights just how vital subsidized RON 95 petrol is important to the budget of our local residents. So, for our question 3, our third question is the average amount spent per refueling in Ringgit Malaysia. So, because this was an open wide-ended question, we received a wide range of response. So, as you can see at the evidence, while some motorcycle users spend as low as 5 ringgit to 10 ringgit, and many car owners frequently spend between 50 ringgit over RM 150 ringgit per fill up. This reflecting the diverse vehicle types and tank capacities among the respondents. So next, we move to the question 4, which is preferred petrol station brand. We look at the consumer brand preference. Petronas stand out of the most preferred brands, while Shell is the lowest preferred brands of our local community there. So finally, we asked the community about the primary purpose of their fuel usage, which is the majority of the local community is strictly used for their daily use, and followed by the working purpose, and then the minority use is for their daily lifestyle.
Section C is where we scale the measurement of people's preference and satisfaction for the better price and property in Malaysia. So, as we can see in the graph, question: rising petrol prices increase the cost of living? Well, apparently, most of people strongly agree with this statement, as it shows that a petrol price do affect the cost of living. Second question stated that I think petrol price increase reduce demand for properties far from workplaces. In the graph, it shows that people only agree with the statement, and comes out in the number 2, we have a strongly agree, showing that people are kind of aware of the problem. As you can see, for the third question, is a property located closer to workplace due to fuel costs. As you can see, 60.3% is a strongly agree, and followed by 31.4% is move to the next question. So for the next question is talk about change in the petrol price can increase the overall cost of a good and service. So as you can see on the response, we got 60.3% is a strong agree, and 1.7% is a disagree.
So now let's move on to the question 8. So The question stated, I feel the difference between RON 95, RON 97 and the diesel pricing. So, based on data that we collect, strongly agree, we managed to got 47.1%. For the agree, we got 42.1%. So, and the rest is neutral, we got 10.7%. Let's move on to the next question. The next question stated, I more often to use public transportation when petrol prices increase. So, from this data that we collect, the highest response is neutral, which is 32.2%. And the lowest, we got 10.7%, which is strongly agree. Okay, next question. The question stated, I am satisfied with the government's management of petrol prices. So, the highest data that we collect, which is neutral, which is 36.4%, and the lowest data that we collect is strongly disagree, which is 10.7%. On to another part. Question 11. I follow news or updates regarding petrol price changes. So, the highest data that we collect is agree, which is 57.9%, and the lowest data that we collect is disagree, which is 2.5%. Okay, for the last question of our section C, so it stated, overall, I am satisfied with the current petrol pricing system. So, the highest data that we collect is neutral, which is 39.7%, and the lowest is strongly disagree, which is 6.6%. So, that's all.
A rising of the petrol prices on a property may have been a problem in our life. So, there are many ways to overcome this problem, as one of the ways is to use a public transportation such as LRT, MRT and other public transportation. These features can reduce the cost of fuel and also less the financial burdens. And the next one is developer needs to encourage property developments near facilities such as workplaces, school and mall. This can also increase the value of a property annually. The last one is a developer need to sustain a development by build a development near a highway. This can reduce the long travel distance, fuel and also costs such as maintenance, repair for your car or other things. That's all for me. Thank you.
For the conclusion, I can say that the respondents agreed rising petrol prices increase both of cost of living and business operation costs. As transportation and operational expenses become higher, the price of goods, service, and construction material also increase. This indirectly contribute to higher property prices in Malaysia.